Teacup Writer here with a kind of different video for you today. Today I wanted to kind of just give an introduction of who I am, what I do, and just kind of get you to know, or get you to know who I am. I have a couple of questions that I have received, and just kind of wanted to just go over what kind of writer I am, what I'm looking to do, and just updates on projects. So in one of my first videos, I talked about the first book I had written, which is This Boy, The Shadow of Our Stars. This book has been out for about a year or two, and was such a good learning experience. I'm so thankful that I wrote it. It was a longer book than I write now, but I'm so thankful I wrote it. It was kind of more of a love letter to myself, just kind of proving that I could do what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And yeah, this book is available on, shameless advertisement, is available on Kindle, unlimited for free. I think it's on sale right now for like $7. So if you're interested in reading it, I would recommend checking it out. It is my first book, so obviously there's things that I wish I could have done differently, but I have learned tremendously and have worked forward into putting that into my next books. It is a fantasy book, as you couldn't tell already. So fantasy Christian, not Christian, but fantasy book in the vein of like the Chronicles of Narnia, Stardust by Neil Gaiman. I'm assuming you guys don't need me to tell you who the Chronicles of Narnia is by, C.S. Lewis. But anyways, I worked on this book for 4 years. I started various drafts. At one point, I had written a draft that was complete garbage, as all first drafts are. But this one was like first draft for me, which was terrible. So I just threw that puppy away. I think I have it somewhere in my bookcase over here as a little reminder that sometimes good things take time. But I completely started over, reworked the whole plot, cut characters, added storylines, had an A story, had a B story, and it's shaped up to be what it is here. I'm very proud of it, like I said, and I recommend you check it out. It's a coming to age story, as a lot of fantasy novels are. Fans of Aragon will like it. I mean, it kind of reads very similar to Christopher Paolini's first book. But that, I closed that chapter and started with this one, this is just a proof. So this is the second novel that right now I am editing, attempting to find representation, but just kind of, floating by on. This one is the Victorian Vigilante, which is different. The first book was a fantasy book. This one is a historical mystery. I started reading books, Lucy Foley, Ruth Ware, and what's that gal's name? I can't see from here on my glasses on, but like historical books as well. So I read The Alice Network. I read The Nightingale, I think is Christina Hannon. But anyways, I started getting into historical books, and then I liked the Agatha Christie novels. So that historical mystery was very, very interesting to me. And I had just read Batman Year One. And obviously that's a graphic novel or a comic. And I just thought putting the two together, having, a female Batman kind of archetype with the historical Victorian London. This is set right before Jack the Ripper, so in 1884. So I have that like Elizabethan era London with a vigilante, and then there's themes of Egypt, and There's obviously murder, and it's just this whole plot that I saw so many different flicks that gave me inspiration. That one that has, gosh, what is it called? There's a film with, I think, Johnny Depp or Orlando Bloom, one of the two, in London, revolving around the Ripper murders, and I watched that and I was like, wow, this is fantastic. So it is the journey from book 1 to book 2 is very different. Obviously the first one very age appropriate, and the second one, although I tend not to go towards more gruesome stuff, but it is a departure from my first novel, which is fine. I mean, obviously I evolved. I hope to have it out here shortly. I've taken more time with it than I would have taken with the first one. I think I was so eager to get that book out that I just kind of pushed it out, and I kind of saw what pushing stuff that isn't ready happen, or what could happen. Not that it's a terrible book. I think it's fantastic, but some good things take time, obviously, like I said earlier. And this one, I finished the last draft that I was working on about 8 months ago, and I've kind of been meditating on it for a while. I've had some people read it. They like it. There's some things that I want to update, but I kind of wanted to shelve it for a little bit, come back fresh, because I am writing a third book, which is the Highland Tour. So I went to Scotland a couple months ago, as I advertised shamelessly to everybody, which was a fantastic trip. But I went there and we took a tour through the Highlands, and the tour guide, he said some things that just really struck a note with me about how thankful they are for people who write books that are set in their country, and how much like authors like J.K. Rowling and other books have just given so much tourism to this place. And I just thought to myself, like, first of all, this is a great place. I've never seen anything like it. Second, I want to capture that in a book. And third, I want it to be a murder mystery. Lucy Foley has done, obviously, her novel so well. And I think the setting of the Highlands in a tour-like setting, just there's so many different ways you can go with that. And so I'm really excited with that. I'm like probably about 50% through draft 1. So that the draft should be finished by the end of the year, which that's an optimistic goal, but I enjoy writing it. This is one of the first books where I'm just like, should I do that? Would it be interesting? Yeah, let's do it. Let's do what they don't expect. Let's do what makes me uncomfortable, because writing about things that is uncomfortable is what people tend to want to read. I think of the books that I enjoy, and you're like, oh, there's a way that this could be resolved that is so fairy tale, and you expect that. And then when it doesn't go that way, you're like, oh wow, that's actually pretty great. Like, I'm hooked because it didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. And obviously that's just basic writer's etiquette. I don't know why I rambled on that, but yeah. So it is in a similar vein to my second novel. So it's not historical. It is set in current time, but it is a mystery. So I would compare it to more of Ruth Ware's style and Lucy Foley, which I've read all of their new books. The Paris Apartment, although not as great as The Guest List and the Hunting Party, was great. Ruth Ware, One by One, fantastic. The It Girl, even more fantastic. I will advertise for those two authors for the rest of my life. They do have some books that are like, they're not as good, but if you want to read two really fantastic books, read The Hunting Party, Lucy Foley's, and then I would recommend reading One by One. My wife is listening to the audiobook and she really liked it. The It Girl is pretty good as well. It was kind of cool because some of the places in that book are places that I went to see in Scotland. So it's like, wow, I'm reading about a place I've actually been to. That's so incredible. Anyways, so those are the 3 things that I've done this far. I didn't start writing until like the last 5 or so years. And I think within the last 2 or 3 years with the COVID pandemic, I kind of worked out a way to consistently write every single day, rather than I think I would, with book 1, I would just go to like a coffee shop and kick out 5,000 words and then wouldn't write for a week, and then kick out 5,000 words. And I just realized it wasn't a good way of keeping a story's momentum. So I tend to write on a story daily, very small chunks. I only set myself to write about 500 words a day, which is what, I don't even know, like 3,000, almost 3,000 words a week. I go over that often, so it's not like I don't write more than I can, but I set my minimum goal of 500 words a day just to continue momentum. But also I like to stop writing at an interesting part. Like mid-sentence, I'll just, okay, that's it for the day. I'll pick it up tomorrow, because I'm so excited to write about it tomorrow. Like I'm at a scene right now and I just want to continue it. I do. But if I do, maybe it won't be as good as if I picked it up tomorrow and was enthusiastic and wanted to write it immediately. So I'm waiting. So, and for me, I think it's just as enjoyable as getting to read a book. Like I get to meditate on who these characters are, what their backstories are. I think these characters, I'm writing from multiple perspectives, but these characters feel so real because getting to know who they are, and probably the most in-depth characters I've written at all. I mean, excuse me, I learned a lot from the prior 2 books, so I'm like incorporating that into this book. But yeah, that's just the things I'm working on right now, the things I have done. If you want to pick up a copy of this book, I do recommend it. There are some reviews on there, so you can just read the reviews if you're unsure, but super good. It does have 2 perspectives, so there's a female and a male perspective. If you want to, I don't know if anyone else see that. Oh. Yeah, I don't know if you're able to read that, but if you want to, I can put a link in the description if you want to check it out. It was a group effort. I think my cover was done by one person from across the world. Everything was done by just people all over the world, which was so incredible. And very proud of it. It rests happily with my other children's fantasy next to my Harry Potter collection, The Hobbit, because it was greatly inspired by the stories of when I was younger. So yeah, that is just an introduction of what I'm working on. And if you do enjoy these kinds of videos, I'm going to try to post more of them, maybe do a progress update with my novel, and just kind of walk you through what's going on. I do have an Instagram page where I do update people pretty, I would say often enough. I don't tend to update people too much because I don't like to set up the idea that I'm just blazing through, because writing a book can be very slow and I don't want to act like I'm a professional at it by any means. I mean, I have like countless books that I'm reading about how to be better, so I'm always reading. And yeah, that is everything. So like I said, if you like this video, make sure to give a thumbs up, subscribe, and just leave a comment if you want me to do something more, or if you want me to talk about something about what I'm working on. Yeah, thank you so much.